Hi. I wanted to talk about our discussion question this week. And the first one is based on my understanding of a Christian worldview. How would I define psychopathology? There was a journal article, Frontiers in Psychiatry, that from Schultz, Lutter et al. 2018, that took the root word, the Greek words of psychopathology, and basically summarized it as it meaning sufferings of the soul. So as I look from a Christian worldview, as I look at and try to define psychopathology, I basically think about how it's the study of how do we process our thinking and our actions in our life. How do we go about that? And from a Christian perspective, I think we're more than just our thoughts. When someone asked Jesus, what is the greatest commandment? In Matthew 22:37, Jesus responded with, love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your soul and your mind. I just think this speaks to we are complex individuals. There's more than just organs and flesh. And the Bible also implies that we have some autonomy over our thinking. There is some role that we can play. Colossians 3:2 says to set our minds on the things above. Romans 12:2 says that we can be transformed by the renewing of our minds. Isaiah 26 encourages us to focus on the Lord, and that's where we will find peace. 2 Corinthians 10:5 says take our thoughts captive. So there is some active role that we can play, and there's more to handling life than just having wrong thoughts and working through that. What does the Bible say about abnormality? Well, in Genesis 3, we learn that God created a perfect world, but then sin entered the world through Adam and Eve. Romans 3:23 says, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. 1 John 1:8 says that we deceive ourselves if we claim to be without sin. So sin is here. And with sin brought death. It brought disease. It brought all the things that are broken in our world. But the Bible also points to, in John 3:16, that Jesus is the answer for the sin in this world. Also in the Gospels, we see that Jesus, clearly there are diseases. People were sick, and Jesus healed. He was the healer. He healed of their physical diseases, oftentimes before he even addressed the spiritual. So I just think from a Christian worldview, I think it's more than just making decisions. I think we're multifaceted beings. What does the secular view of abnormality? In the annual review of clinical psychology, Lebowitz and Applebaum 2018, it talks about psychopathology as medical diseases rooted in biology. So basically, this is a sickness in our brain. There's actually been, this article went on to say that there's actually been a trend of just focusing on the scientific medical aspect versus looking into imbalances in the brain or abnormalities in the brain, as well as environmental influences or early childhood experiences, taking all of that into account. There's actually been an increase of only focusing on the medical aspect and the physical aspect. And honestly, I thought this was very interesting. They said that this increase of focus on just medical, biological, occurred after the FDA, when the FDA approved promoting mental health drugs, like through commercials. They found an increase in a swing of this trend, because people were coming in asking for these drugs, and the doctors were being influenced. And so it became something that we diagnose and we treat and we move on. And I just think that there's more to us than just the biological aspect, just because what Jesus went back to, our heart, our soul, and our mind.